Hello everyone, happy Friday and happy last discussion of this class. To get right into it, the Morrison Sloop article could be described as an intrinsic or postmodern critique in that it challenges the idea of a meta-narrative. We learned in our text that postmodern critique challenges the idea of a single truth or meta-narrative, and Morrison Sloop article does that in that they are simply discussing public displays of affection within homosexual couples. And that challenges the historical narrative that romantic relationships are between a man and a woman. And so just simply discussing the romantic relationships of a couple that isn't a man and a woman is contradictory. And so it challenges that idea that there is just one truth. And in that way, it's a postmodern critique. The Cloud article can be classified as an extrinsic or Marxist critique in that there are sort of a few different aspects of a Marxist critique that we learned in our text. One of them was the practical application of theory to material conditions, and another one was applying standards which should exist in all times, in all places, and for all people, regardless of historical, cultural context. And then one that really stuck out, that is generically Marxist, is the idea that separating or alienating workers from their work is oppression. And so in this case, we have, if we look at the way Cloud sort of frames Oprah's interviews and her questions, and we look at how he said that she's implying that Haitian culture is sort of an eternal and endemic state of desperation, that addresses, even just with that statement, a couple of the definitions of a Marxist critique. So just the idea that, her implication that Haitians are constantly in that sort of crisis mode goes against the idea that, you apply normative standards to all people in all places. And so Haiti experiencing a hurricane, while it may happen more often there than other places, is not the normative standard. It's not like there's a hurricane in Haiti every single day. And so again, so it's not applying the normative standards, and it's also removing the people from their work. So again, implying that this is the endemic state of Haiti is to completely negate these people's daily lives and their work. And so it's not as if Haitians are sitting around, every day just waiting for a hurricane. They have lives to live, and they work and they try to better themselves. And a hurricane is a natural disaster. It is not, an endemic. So in that way, and in, many other ways, but in that way, the Cloud article can be considered a Marxist critique. Moving on to an example of a text that could be considered a Marxist critique is actually, while I was researching this, I found that there are a lot of Disney movies that could be considered a Marxist critique. And I mean, they have scripts, so that's a text. But so one of the recent ones that I just happened to see with my kids was Zootopia. And so that could be considered Marxist in that if you're looking, for those of you who haven't seen it, there is a sort of similar to Marxist theory where there's a division of classes. There's the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And in the movie, there is the predators and the prey. And so there's no movement between the classes. If you're born a predator, you're going to be up here. And if you're born a prey, you're going to be down here. And so it also speaks to the idea of power and who holds the positions of power. And so in this movie, the bourgeoisie or the predators hold all the positions of power. And so, for example, the mayor of this dystopian society is a predator. The police chief and actually the entire police force are predators. And the movie sort of stars this main character, a bunny, who has this dream of being a police officer. And it sort of, goes against the fabric of, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, because she is not just wishing, but aiming for moving between the class systems. And so in that way, Zootopia is a text that would be considered a Marxist critique. As far as one that could be considered intrinsic or postmodern, for that one, I chose a book called White Rose, Black Forest. It is a historical fiction in World War II Germany. And spoiler alert for anyone who likes historical fiction and might possibly read the book. The story is about a woman in Nazi Germany who has pretty much lost all of her family, and she is sort of anti-Nazi and anti-everything that Hitler stands for and everything that he has sort of groomed the people of Germany to be. And she is on her way into the forest to shoot herself and sort of just end her misery. And on her way there, she finds this soldier who she believes to be a German soldier who has had some sort of accident, and he's wounded, his body's broken, and he's pretty much going to die out in this freezing forest. And she ends up saving him. And it turns out that he's actually not a German soldier, but he is a spy behind enemy lines. And so that sort of, in this case, it's an intrinsic critique in that it challenges the idea of that single truth or that meta-narrative. And so this woman, and along with many others, in actual history, as opposed to historical fiction, were against, everything that Hitler stood for, and, did try to do their, little parts here and there to fight the Nazis. And so her helping this spy challenges the narrative that, everyone just sort of, cowered to Hitler and his, demands. And same thing with the not so German soldier. It's kind of like you can't judge a book by its cover. He was wearing a Nazi uniform, but wasn't. And so in that way, this book is a postmodern critique. So this is my post for week 7. Thanks, and happy end of semester, everyone.